Sometimes a moment comes when everything piles up on you. It is as if the world shrinks and you constrict. There is a heaviness in your heart, an unspoken, unbearable burden that you cannot cast off. In those moments, do you not ask yourself, has Allah forgotten me? Why are my prayers not answered? Where did I go wrong? But Ibn Arabi says, when Allah forgets you, He does not remain silent. He simply does not speak because He is making you grow. So sometimes Allah's silence is not a punishment, but His way of preparing you, because you are not yet ready to hear that answer. Your heart is still full of sorrow, but that sorrow is actually a sign. Allah has not abandoned you. On the contrary, He has chosen you. Because He cares for you, He is educating you through sorrow. Have you ever noticed? There are pains that silence you, but also purify you. There are tears that are invisible, but cleanse your heart. And there are silences so deep that Allah is there. According to Ibn Arabi, the moment a person is closest is not during prostration, but in the moment of distress. Because in that moment, with your whole being, you say, "Help me, Allah." And it is then that Allah says, "I am here, but you cannot hear it yet." Today, from beyond reality, we will discover this together. In truth, Allah does not want us to not grieve, but to trust in Him even within our grief. At the end of the video, I will explain that secret, which Ibn Arabi calls the heart free of sorrow. We will see how a person's heart, when it fully submits to Allah, becomes as if reborn. If you are ready, let us begin. You know, sometimes something stirs inside a person, a causeless restlessness, an unexplainable void. No matter how much you pray, no matter how hard you strive, that sense of lack does not leave. Ibn Arabi says, this feeling of lack is actually a call. Allah is calling you to Himself. He says, every sorrow that comes to your heart is the word of Allah, but you have given your ears to the noise of the world. Sorrow is not just a pain, it is a language, a divine language. But only those who hear it with their heart can understand this language. Because Allah does not speak to man with words, but with states. For example, sometimes a friend leaves, a job is lost, a door closes. You cry out, why? But that door has actually closed to direct you to another door. And Ibn Arabi describes this state as follows. Allah breaks you to save you from yourself. This sentence shakes a person's core, because we assume that Allah gives peace in happiness. But sometimes the greatest peace comes after a loss, because loss brings you to your knees, and a person only truly rises when they kneel. Have you ever paid attention? The things you worried about matured you over time. You were hurt by someone, but that hurt taught you patience. You lost something, but that loss led you to understand the value of what you have. That is precisely why Ibn Arabi says every wound is a training from Allah. So sorrow is actually a gift. But only those who submit can open this gift. Those who do not submit drown in sorrow. Those who submit grow with sorrow. And the secret lies here. Allah does not give sorrow to punish you. He gives it to bring you closer to Himself. But as long as you see this sorrow as a burden, you will be crushed under it. Yet Ibn Arabi says this, sorrow is the name of Allah in the heart of the servant. Whoever carries that name, Allah is closer to them than their jugular vein. When you realize this, the world may not change, but you change. And that change is the greatest miracle, because the thing you worried about can no longer govern you. You have understood it, deciphered its language, and in that moment, you hear a voice from within. Worry about nothing anymore, for I am with you. Sometimes you pray, you cry, you pour out your heart, but the sky is silent. No answer, no sign. It feels as if Allah is not hearing you. But Ibn Arabi says, Allah speaks to his servant most deeply in the times when he is most silent. That silence is not actually a rejection, but the whisper of a trial. Because it is not that Allah does not hear you. He is merely waiting for you to learn to truly hear. We humans are hasty. We wish for something and want it to happen immediately. But sometimes, the non-fulfillment of that wish is protecting you from a greater loss. You ask why Allah does not give, saying it is a sorrow, but Allah is saying the time is not yet right. This is the secret of divine silence. Silence is sometimes Allah's most merciful answer. Think of a mother. When her child cries, she does not immediately run. Sometimes she waits, because she knows that child must learn to stand on its own feet. So Allah sometimes hears your crying but does not run, because He wants to see you strong, because He waits for you to learn to lean on Him. Ibn Arabi says, Allah empties your heart so that He can fill it with His own light. So if Allah is silent, it is not because He is punishing you, but because He wants to harbor not the world, but Himself in your heart. Therefore, do not fear silence, because sometimes the noisiest prayers do not come from the heart, but a silent sigh, a breath coming from the depths of your heart, reaches the divine throne. Perhaps you prayed, but thought Allah did not answer. Yet the answer was given long ago. You just could not hear it yet. Because you need to hear the answer, not with the ear, but with the heart. Think about it. How did your heart soften after those long silences? How did you mature at the end of that waiting? What peace came after that pain? Ibn Arabi calls this the fruit of divine silence. He says, every silence gives birth to a light in the heart. Whoever notices that light no longer fears darkness. So in those dark nights, in the moments you thought you were alone, Allah is actually reshaping you. He is teaching you patience, reliance, and submission. Because sometimes Allah does not speak because He wants you to be silent. Because in that silence, there is something, the beginning of your return to Him. Sometimes a person unknowingly becomes the enemy of their own peace. Think about it. Every moment you do not forgive someone, you are actually closing the door of your own heart, not theirs. When you constantly turn an event over in your mind, you burn not the event, but yourself. Ibn Arabi says, with sorrow, one tries to get ahead of destiny. Whoever gets ahead of destiny veils the will of Allah. This word is very profound, because worrying is not just being upset, it is interfering with Allah's work. It is saying, I know better than you, yet no servant can see the divine plan. When you worry about something, you occupy your mind so much that you do not allow Allah's light to enter your heart. Just as water will not be clear in a dirty glass, peace does not reside in a person whose heart is full of sorrow. So why do we constantly worry? Because we try to control. We want everything to go as we planned. But Ibn Arabi says, control is the enemy of surrender. Meaning, the more you try to control, the further you move from surrender. And as you move away, anxiety grows and the heart constricts. Think about it. The moments that tired you the most in your life were when you said, I must handle everything myself, right? But there are some things that, no matter how hard you push, will not change. Because that thing is not in your hand, but in Allah's hand. Ibn Arabi explains this situation as follows. The servant's heart is shaped by the powerful hand of Allah. If you interfere with that shape with your own hand, you break it. So the reason we lose our peace is not events, but our way of holding on to them. We do not want to let go of someone. We do not want to forget a pain. We cling to the past as if it owes us something. but that thing we hold on to crushes our heart a little more each day. And you know what happens? As the heart constricts, so does the prayer. Because prayer finds place not only on the tongue, but in the heart. When your heart is tight, prayer cannot find its voice. That is why Ibn Arabi says, expand your heart so that your Lord may fit therein. So saying, do not worry, does not mean do not care. It means surrender. It means you do your best, leave the rest. But letting go is not giving up. Letting go is trusting. Think like a child. When his father holds his hand, he no longer thinks about the path, because he knows wherever he goes, he is safe. If you hold on to Allah, no sorrow can shake you. Ibn Arabi puts the final point. If Allah is in your heart, the world cannot sadden you. This sentence is the spirit of the video, because in the end, we understand that worrying weakens not only our heart, but also our faith. True surrender is learning not to ask why. Sometimes a moment comes when you cannot speak. It is as if words are knotted in your throat. Even your prayers feel incomplete. There is a storm in your heart, but your tongue is silent. In that moment, you think that Allah has abandoned you. But Ibn Arabi says, Allah educates his servant with silence, because silence teaches more than words. This word is very deep, because sometimes speaking is actually an escape, but silence is surrender. According to Ibn Arabi, if Allah is teaching a servant to be silent, He wants to teach them to hear, because a person only hears when they are silent. Only when the inner self calms down can the voice of the heart be heard. But we, modern people, are constantly talking with ourselves, with the past, with fears. We never are silent. Yet the noise of the heart drowns out Allah's voice. Ibn Arabi says, if there is noise in your heart, you cannot hear Allah's whisper. So sometimes you pray, but receive no answer, because there is too much of you in your heart. Even while praying, you are listening to yourself, not to Allah. That is why He silences you. He breaks you, slows you down, leaves you alone, until the I in your heart falls silent. And then a strange peace comes. Nothing has been fixed, but there is a silence within, as if the world has stopped. That silence is a divine education. Ibn Arabi explains this as the training of the heart. He says the heart is the mirror of Allah. Noise fogs that mirror. That is why sometimes even being unable to pray is a prayer, because in that moment, there is a wordless conversation between your soul and Allah. In those moments, Allah says to you, I am here, but not with words, with feeling, with presence, with a deep inner peace. Think about it. Which times change you the most in your life? The moments you shouted or the moments you were silent? How did the silence after a loss mature you? What wisdom was born within you when you thought a prayer went unanswered? According to Ibn Arabi, Allah matures a person not with unanswered prayers but with silence. Because words address the ear, silence addresses the soul. Sometimes Allah silences you because He wants your heart to speak instead of you. And when the heart speaks, no words are needed. That is when you understand. When you stop speaking, Allah begins. When you are silent, He speaks. When you wait, He teaches. Ibn Arabi says, silence is the deepest respect for Allah, because silence is the purest form of surrender. The one who can protect the silence of their heart amid the chaos of the world is the one who finds true peace. And the secret is hidden right here. The moment Allah silences you is actually the moment He transforms you. Sometimes a person reaches a point where they can neither carry the burden of the past nor bear the uncertainty of the future. It is right there that the voice of Allah is heard. Worry about nothing. According to Ibn Arabi, this sentence is not just a consolation, but a reminder of a truth. Because everything is already under His control. The chaos you perceive is part of His perfect plan. Allah has not forgotten you. He has only silenced you a little to mature you. Perhaps He has closed some doors, but know that while those doors were closing, He actually opened a new door in your heart. Ibn Arabi says, Allah educates His servant not by giving, but by taking. So sometimes the thing you lost is what leads you to the true finding. You lost someone but found patience. An opportunity left but reliance was born. A prayer seemed unanswered but faith strengthened. That is why nothing coming from Allah is a loss. Everything you worry about binds you a little more to the world. But everything you let go brings you a little closer to Allah. And in the end you understand. Not worrying is not indifference. Not worrying is saying I believe now. According to Ibn Arabi, the secret of peace is to be able to say everything is from Him. Whatever happens, good or bad, it is His plan, not yours. And this perception liberates a person. One day, a student asked Ibn Arabi, "Master, my heart is so full. What should I do?" He replied, "Empty your heart so that Allah may fit therein. This is the whole matter. When you cleanse your heart of sorrow, hatred, and the desire for control, Allah fits therein. And when Allah fits there, nothing can break you. Perhaps today things are not going well in your life. Perhaps your prayers still have no answer. But remember, silence is sometimes the answer itself. And Allah educates you with silence. Because in that silence, He wants you to find your own voice. So today, pause for a moment. Take a deep breath and just say from within, I will not worry about anything anymore because Allah is sufficient for me. Remember, peace does not come from things going right. Peace comes from believing that everything is in Allah's hand. Finally, if these words touched your heart, it is clear that this video was written to meet you. Now rest your heart a little. Take a deep breath, because from beyond reality, a new one of Ibn Arabi's heart-penetrating secrets awaits you. Keep your heart open, because Allah sometimes speaks in your most silent moment.